Nintendo just announced how much the new Switch Online is going to be, and we gotta talk about it because it's way too much. About a month ago, there was a Nintendo Direct that mentioned new consoles coming to the Nintendo Switch Online, which was very promising, and I was really super stoked about it. I even made a video talking about it, and honestly, it's something I was very much excited for. I was ready for it. I was hoping it would come soon. It's coming in the end of October, and that is that the Nintendo 64 and the Sega Genesis are going to be added to the Switch Online. Now, however, there is going to be a rate increase to get those systems, and we'll talk about that in this video, but I'm a little bit disappointed by Nintendo and what they're doing. Now, before all of this, we had the Switch Online, which had the NES and the SNES, and it was 20 bucks a year, which people complained about, but I thought it was totally awesome. 20 bucks is really cheap compared to how Xbox and PlayStation have theirs priced at $60 a year. So $20 a year, I couldn't complain. Now, it didn't have voice chat, it didn't have a few things that I would have liked to see, and it was just pretty much online for a few games, but 20 bucks was pretty cheap, and I could play the NES games and the SNES games anywhere I wanted, basically on my Switch, which was pretty awesome. I have the games behind me, but being able to just sit down with my Switch in my hand, maybe my Switch Lite, or maybe my new Switch OLED, and play them in handheld mode is really awesome. And so 20 bucks a year was pretty good for that, but the price is going up, and it might be a little too much for Nintendo for the Nintendo 64 and the Sega Genesis. Let's go ahead and talk about what is being offered. Now, Nintendo just announced this, and it's kind of cool, but the price is just almost not there. Now, will I probably get this? Probably, but let's talk about this. First off, you will get everything from the Switch Online that is already out there. So the NES, the SNES, cloud saves, stuff like that, the normal stuff. But you will also get what they're calling the expansion pack, which is the library of Nintendo 64 games, the library of Sega Genesis games, Animal Crossing New Horizon DLC, which for me really doesn't matter because I don't play Animal Crossing, and I don't know if I like that that's kind of thrown in here. But last but not least, that was pretty much it. Like, you're not gonna get anything new, fancy. Those Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis controllers cost 50 bucks each to get them wirelessly, and those don't really seem like they're gonna be worth picking up. And the price difference is $20 a year, now bumped up to $50 a year, more than double of what it was, which kind of sucks, and you're just pretty much getting Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis, and then the Animal Crossing DLC. So I don't think it's worth it, and that's only for an individual. For a family plan, it is going up to $80, which is a lot of money. Now, yes, it does say you could go up to 8 different like systems or accounts, which if you got a bunch of friends, that might actually not be a bad idea. I'm not saying to do it, but do what you think you would like to do. But it's getting expensive. So what are we really getting out of this? Honestly, the Nintendo 64 games are games that I already have in the collection. Like I said, for the NES and the SNES, it'll be cool to play on my Switch, but I'm not necessarily like being drawn into it. And kind of the same thing with the Sega Genesis. It's in the corner over here back behind me, and I got those games, except I don't have Musha, and I kind of would like to play that. So if I get this, I'm probably at least gonna play that. But to be honest, the Animal Crossing, I've never played Animal Crossing New Horizon, so I'm definitely gonna skip on that. While we're on the topic of how much this costs, I want to talk about one tweet that I saw from RDT85. Now, he said, "Yo, Nintendo, I fixed it for you." Now, the base online is $20. The base online plus all the consoles is $30, and then the base online plus the retro consoles plus the DLC was 50 bucks. And I feel like that is probably where it should be, because I'm not interested in the DLC for New Horizons, and I really don't think it should be lumped in with this bundle. It kind of feels a little forced, like they were like, we could make them pay for it or we could do it free. Let's make them pay for it. And that's kind of disappointing, but they are a business, so maybe I am thinking about this all the wrong way. Now, Nintendo does have to pay for licenses for a lot of these games, like the Sega Genesis games. All of those will have to be paid for some way or another, and as well as the Rare games. So the Rare games on the Nintendo 64, by Rare, not actually these games are rare, but these games are gonna have to be paid for, and that license is actually going to Xbox, which is why we haven't seen a Rare game on a Nintendo system in a long time. So I'm torn. The prices of games have to be paid, obviously, but is it worth what they're asking for? I don't know. I want you to comment down below and let me know, but we've got a little bit more I want to talk about. And that is the Nintendo 64 wireless controller and the Sega Genesis wireless controller. Now, I have the attachable Joy-Cons for the NES. I didn't pick up the SNES ones because I really didn't feel the need to get them, but we are getting wireless controllers for the N64 and the Sega Genesis. But they're kind of expensive. These are both going to be for Nintendo Switch Online members only, so if you aren't one of those, you can't even buy it. You have to buy directly from Nintendo, which they did with the other two consoles, so I'm not surprised there. But 50 bucks for this, I feel like is a little too much. Now, it's probably going to be good quality and is Nintendo, but I do think it's a little much to be paying 50 bucks for a controller that came out 20 years ago. So, I think that's a little much for Nintendo to ask for, but that's just my opinion. Now, even though I have been talking negatively about the price, I am still stoked upon the Nintendo 64 coming. Now, would I prefer a Nintendo 64 Classic instead of spending 60 bucks a year? Obviously, but I will definitely end up picking this up for at least the first year, just to kind of play through the games, maybe see if they get some good new games, and to play the Sega Genesis games as well. I've played most of those games, but there's a few I want to play that I haven't, and so I think that's kind of a good opportunity. So if you are a fan of retro games and you have a Nintendo Switch, I think this might be a good way for you to do that without having to spend a ton of money. Now, I don't know if it's gonna be like enhanced or anything like that. I'm assuming it's just gonna be the old games, but it'll definitely be a ton of fun to play, especially if you haven't played some of those 64 games or Genesis games. I think it could definitely be worth it. But that really just depends on what type of gamer you are. For me, it'll be worth it for the first year. We'll see after that. But it still is kind of a lot of money, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited about the 64 games coming to the Switch, because maybe we can get a classic. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But I think it would be a ton of fun. I want to know what you think about this. Are you stoked about it? Is it too expensive? Are you bummed now that the price is so high? I just want to know your thoughts, because those are my thoughts, and I think the Nintendo Switch is awesome. I've had my Switch OLED for a week now, and I am absolutely loving it. A video is coming soon, don't worry. But with that being said, that's all I wanted to talk about with you guys. Peace.